Sheryl Swoopes is continuing to spiral out of control. Now, folks,
what it do, peeps? Sheryl Swoopes is been missing. Sheryl Swoopes is MIA. They got a APB out for Sheryl Swoopes. If you see Sheryl Swoopes, she did a lot of talking a few months ago about the Indiana Fever, the locker room environment, how people didn't want to play there, how people wanted to leave. Stephanie White came in and said, okay, hold up. Let me go to Indeed.com and Indeed get some free agents to come in here that want to play, that are accomplished, seasoned veterans. She did all that. Cheryl's been nowhere to been found. Sheryl got a lot of crow to eat, folks. Sheryl could be choking on crow right now. She need that Heimlich maneuver. If you see Sheryl Swoopes, tell her it's okay to come out and talk and say, man, you was wrong. It's okay. Sheryl, you gotta do better. If you see Sheryl, she might need the Heimlich maneuver. She might be choking on crow right now.
From day one, Sheryl Swoopes has never been the type to hold back. If there's a thought in her head, best believe it's making its way to a microphone near you. Raw, unfiltered, and straight to the point. And when it comes to Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, oh, Swoopes has been on a mission, letting the chopper spray for months now. So when she recently went on TV declaring that the Fever are falling apart and that nobody wants to play with Caitlin Clark, it wasn't exactly a plot twist. It was more of a, yeah, there she goes again, moment. Because let's be real, Sheryl doesn't just talk, she talks and is usually right. Her words hit hard because they tap into a conversation that's been simmering for a while. Is Clark really struggling to fit in? Are her teammates secretly over it? Whether you love or hate what Swoopes is saying, she's not just throwing out takes for fun. She's shining a light on the unspoken tension. And if history has taught us anything, when Sheryl speaks, the WNBA world listens.
And she basically said, why would anyone want to play in Indiana? And people were giving the reason. She was like, well, I wouldn't want to play in Indiana. It's like, that's a different thing. If you don't want to play in Indiana, fine. If you never wanted to play in Indiana, that's fine. But she would keep going, oh, no, why would any free agent want to play there? And it's like...
Swoopes has been side-eyeing Clark from the moment she stepped into the national spotlight. Whether it's raising an eyebrow at the media frenzy around her, questioning her game, or throwing subtle and not-so-subtle shade at WNBA vets, seemingly rolling out the red carpet for her, one thing is clear. Swoopes isn't exactly leading the Caitlin Clark fan club. And now, with Indiana stumbling and whispers of locker room drama floating around, Swoopes is out here like a detective collecting evidence for a case she's been building for months. She's not just skeptical, she's watching every misstep, every awkward interaction, and every struggle with a notepad in one hand and a knowing smirk in the other. From Clark's transition struggles to the way veteran players react to her, Swoopes has been vocal about her concerns. Maybe it's the way the league and media have positioned Clark as the future, maybe it's frustration over the way other WNBA legends were overlooked in comparison, or maybe it's just that Swoopes doesn't buy into the hype. Either way, with Indiana struggling to find its rhythm and tensions reportedly brewing behind the scenes, Swoopes' skepticism isn't fading, it's growing louder, and she's making sure everyone knows it.
Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not.
Let's be real, this ain't just about Caitlin Clark. It's about how the WNBA is evolving in ways the OGs never had the luxury of experiencing. Back in the day, players like Sheryl Swoopes, certified legend, 3-time MVP, and one of the greatest to ever lace them up, had to grind for every ounce of respect. There were no viral mixtapes putting them on the map, no ESPN segments dissecting every move, no multi-million-dollar endorsement deals straight out the gate. They hooped, they dominated, and they prayed the world even bothered to notice. Indiana, a franchise that's been stuck in rebuild mode since flip phones were a flex. They've been struggling so long that even nostalgia gave up on them. And Sheryl Swoopes? She's been calling them out for years, long before Caitlin Clark's name was even whispered in WNBA draft discussions. She's dragged their front office, questioned their coaching, and basically treated them like the WNBA's version of a garage sale, random, disorganized, and full of questionable decisions. So when Swoopes says the Fever are falling apart, she's not just talking about Clark. She's talking about a team that's been teetering on the edge of irrelevance since Blockbuster still had rental deals. But now, suddenly, Indiana's chaos is front-page news. Why? Because Clark's arrival didn't just bring talent, it brought eyeballs. Now every misstep, every bad play, and every questionable coaching decision is under a microscope. What used to be background noise in the WNBA is now a full-blown spectacle. And the irony? The Fever were a mess long before Clark showed up. The only difference now? People are actually watching.
Sheryl Swoopes' hatred for Caitlin Clark is just weird at this point.
But here's the twist. Sheryl Swoopes might actually have a point. The Indiana Fever are struggling, and integrating a player with Caitlin Clark's skill set isn't as seamless as some might have hoped. Chemistry takes time, especially when you're adding a high-usage playmaking star into the mix. But let's be honest, Swoopes isn't just analyzing. She's savoring this moment like someone who told you not to trust that sketchy gas station sushi and is now watching you suffer. The smirk? Practically audible. The real kicker? The WNBA is shifting in real time, and Caitlin Clark is right in the middle of it. Whether you love her, doubt her, or think the hype is too much, she's become the gravitational pull reshaping everything. Suddenly, Indiana, a team that's been hovering in irrelevance, is front and center, stacking talent and making moves like it's Black Friday at Best Buy. And the one common denominator? Clark. Love her or hate her, the impact is undeniable. And if Swoopes is relishing the Fever's growing pains, it's probably because she knows that with great hype comes even greater scrutiny.
So no, Caitlin Clark. Sheryl Swoopes. No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Sheryl Swoopes, you have any idea how that makes you look? Lies that Sheryl Swoopes, you're insane to do that. Let me tell you why you're insane to do that. You just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it.
Indiana has suddenly become the epicenter of the WNBA universe, and it's no mystery why. A few months ago, suiting up for the Fever was about as enticing as a root canal, necessary, but not exactly something players looked forward to. Now, it's the hottest ticket in town. The roster spot everyone suddenly wants. It's like a VIP section just opened up, and the guest list is growing by the minute. Coincidence? Not even close. The Caitlin Clark effect is in full force. She's not just showing up with elite-level skills, she's bringing a media frenzy, skyrocketing ticket sales, and a level of hype the league hasn't seen in years. Every time she steps on the court, whether she's draining deep threes, dishing out flashy assists, or just lacing up her sneakers, the entire basketball world is locked in. And other players? They're paying attention. The spotlight that follows Clark isn't just illuminating her, it's shining on the entire team, transforming Indiana from a WNBA afterthought into the most talked-about destination in the league. Veterans see an opportunity to compete on a rejuvenated squad. Young stars see a chance to ride the wave of momentum. Even free agents who wouldn't have given Indiana a second glance before are suddenly seeing the Fever in a whole new light. Clark isn't just changing the game, she's changing where players want to be.
Caitlin Clark is just too good for the WNBA.
The Indiana Fever, once the league's perennial underdog, is suddenly looking like a team on the verge of something massive. For years, they've been treated as little more than a stepping stone for contenders, dismissed as a non-threat while the WNBA's elite battled for dominance. But now they're assembling a roster that looks like it was pulled straight out of a championship blueprint. And let's not pretend this transformation is happening in a vacuum. Caitlin Clark's arrival isn't just a headline, it's a gravitational force. Her presence alone is drawing attention, talent, and a level of momentum Indiana hasn't felt in years. If you think this rebuild was happening at this pace without her influence, you might want to get your vision checked. This isn't just a team getting better, this is a power shift in real time. The kind that makes league veterans uncomfortable. The kind that turns a forgotten franchise into a legitimate threat overnight. While other teams are playing it safe, the Fever is making moves that scream long-term dominance. And the best part? Nobody's even fully processed what's coming. While some franchises are sleeping on this shift, Indiana is methodically loading up one key piece at a time. This isn't luck, this is strategy. This is the birth of something special.
When you couple that with Natasha Howard, who is a bulldog down low, physical player. You could add a grinder like Sophie Cunningham, who is going to be another vet presence on this team. You know, this is a squad, people. This is a squad. You are developing one hell of a team here, and
quite frankly, it is championship or bust. I mean, you can look at it any which way. You need to win. This is a team built to win this year.
To the teams that have dominated the WNBA for years, brace yourselves. The Indiana Fever just went from underdogs to a legitimate threat overnight. This isn't just another rebuilding year. This is a full-scale shift. The days of the Fever being an easy win on the schedule are officially over. With Caitlin Clark in the mix, this team has the potential to shake up the league in ways some people are clearly not ready for. And if they start winning, oh, you can already hear the excuses. The mental gymnastics from certain corners will be something to behold. Expect Sheryl Swoopes to go on yet another mission to convince the world that Clark's impact isn't what people think it is. At this point, it's almost performance art. The more Clark delivers, the harder Swoopes works to frame it as something other than what it is, game-changing. It's like watching a veteran employee pretend the fresh-faced intern who just got promoted to a corner office isn't the reason for all the sudden company growth. And let's be real, it's not just Swoopes. There will be a chorus of voices determined to downplay, deflect, and dismiss, but numbers don't lie. Wins don't lie. If Clark turns the Fever into contenders, no amount of revisionist history will erase what's happening. Like it or not, the league has a new storyline, and this time, the Fever are writing it.
Sheryl Swoopes just can't stop lying.
To me, what Caitlin's been able to do in a short period of time has been very impressive. Because I know people are like, oh my God, you said she wouldn't be good. But I didn't say she wouldn't be good. What I said was I didn't think Caitlin or Angel would come into the league and dominate immediately, which I don't think either of them did.
Respectfully, there is absolutely no way, even when we're trying to sit here and play semantics about dominating, there's no way that anyone could ever leave this season in saying that both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese didn't dominate. You would have to further explain what dominance means for you to not sit here and say that a player who is leading the league in assists while averaging 19 to 20 points didn't dominate that season.
When we're talking about Caitlin, we're talking about when she said dominate.
Every time Sheryl Swoopes takes a shot at Caitlin Clark, it doesn't just miss. It rebounds right back in Clark's favor. What's meant to downplay her impact only magnifies it. What's meant to shrink her legacy only stretches it further. It's almost comical. The more Swoopes tries to dismiss Clark's influence, the more undeniable it becomes. Fans aren't just noticing, they're rallying behind Clark even harder. Analysts are dissecting every word, media outlets are spinning headlines, and social media is in an uproar. Every attempt to minimize her somehow adds another layer to her growing legend. It's like watching someone stubbornly argue that water isn't wet while standing in the middle of the ocean. The harder Swoopes pushes back, the more obvious it is that Clark isn't just making waves. She's rewriting the script entirely. Whether it's her record-breaking performances, her undeniable influence on the game, or the way she draws eyes to women's basketball like never before, Clark's star only shines brighter. And ironically, Swoopes' resistance is becoming the very thing fueling the fire. It's a masterclass in how trying to erase someone can make them impossible to ignore.
Also right about the fact that there's been some haterade being thrown in her direction. Okay? Because there's no excuse to have resentment towards her. And see, we don't want to address the big elephant in the room, but we ain't gonna run from it today. Because Sheryl Swoopes made news. Now, she made news last week when she sat up there and was applauding Indiana Fever players, but then forgot to mention Caitlin Clark. She jumped all in my ass because I sat up there and said, hey, how you gonna ignore Caitlin Clark?
If the Indiana Fever actually win a championship, brace yourself because you already know what's coming. Sheryl Swoopes will be on air with that signature shade, barely holding back a smirk as she talks about how it was a full team effort, emphasizing every single player's contribution, except Caitlin Clark's. Oh, Clark? She just happened to be there, like she wandered onto the court by accident. At this rate, Swoopes might credit the coaching staff, the bench warmers, the arena janitor, and even the team's water boy before she even considers uttering Clark's name. It's not just pettiness, it's an art form at this point. The level of mental gymnastics is Olympic tier, and honestly, it's comedy gold. Imagine the post-game analysis. Aaliyah Boston was sensational. Kelsey Mitchell was clutch. The Fever's team chemistry was off the charts. And when someone finally mentions Clark, cue the dismissive nod, the half-hearted, yeah, she played well, followed by an immediate pivot to a discussion on defensive rotations. At this point, we should start taking bets on how far she'll go to downplay Clark's impact. One thing's for sure, if the Fever do win, Swoopes' reaction alone will be worth the price of admission.
What the hell is what? There is something that is wrong with Sheryl Swoopes. Something really wrong. I've never seen a person who just has such an utter disdain for another human being for no other reason than she's just a jealous, fucking, bitter old hag.
Clark doesn't need Swoopes' validation. Her game, her records, and the undeniable cultural momentum she's building speak louder than any endorsement ever could. The stats don't lie, the arenas are packed, and the sport itself is shifting because of what Clark brings to the court. But if Swoopes keeps doubling down on this unnecessary criticism, she might just rewrite her own legacy. Not as a Hall of Fame icon, but as the woman who made headlines for being Clark's most vocal detractor. And let's be real, no legend wants to be remembered as the bitter voice trying to downplay a generational talent. Instead of gatekeeping greatness, Swoopes has a chance to embrace the evolution of the game she helped shape, because at the end of the day, history will remember who elevated the sport, not who spent their time tearing others down.
Indiana Fever are officially title contenders. Every day they have something new for us in free agency.
Indiana is out here quietly building a powerhouse piece by piece, while Sheryl Swoopes is stuck in full-on back-in-my-day mode, shaking her fist at the sky like the self-appointed gatekeeper of WNBA greatness. While she's busy reminiscing about the past and throwing subtle shade, the Fever are locking in, stacking up wins, and setting the foundation for something special. And let's be real, once Indiana starts rolling and those W's pile up, the excuses are going to get even wilder. Swoopes will be doing mental gymnastics to avoid saying the one thing we all know is true. Caitlin Clark isn't just fitting into the league, she's reshaping it in real time. The energy, the attention, the ticket sales, the fan engagement, it's all skyrocketing, and she's at the center of it. At some point, even the loudest critics will have to admit what's happening. Clark isn't just another rookie, she's a movement. And the best part? There's absolutely nothing anyone can do to stop it. The game is changing, the WNBA is evolving, and whether Swoopes likes it or not, Caitlin Clark is leading the charge.